Let the record show all commissioners are present except Commissioner Romer, who is absent.
Thank you. For those who'd like, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, so item number 4, we have a special presentation, and I didn't know if we wanted to wait. I believe there's 2 of you, right? Brigid?
Unfortunately, she's not able to.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I mean, not fantastic that she's not able to make it, but we're so happy that you are here. So, yeah, thank you for being here. CJ Demento has been invited to our meeting tonight by Commissioner Romer to share her experience about creating the Oceanside Arts Master Plan. And while this commission is not working on an arts master plan, we're hoping that what she shares can really help to inform our own task of an arts element for the general plan. And Brigid has nearly 20 years of experience collaborating with Oceanside and regional arts organizations. She currently chairs the Oceanside Commissions for the Arts and directs the Oceanside Art Walk. And she's also worked with the Oceanside Museum of Art and even served here in Encinitas, is that correct? As an arts assistant during COVID. So thank you, and can't wait to hear.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us. The first I wanted to just open with, we created a series of videos on why the arts matter. And we just thought this might be a good thing to just kind of frame how we are looking at an arts plan. So roll it.
It's our role as an arts commission to educate why the arts matter. The arts mean all artistic disciplines: visual, performing, literary, media, design, interdisciplinary, and more. The Oceanside Arts Commission has been a city commission for over 20 years, appointed by the mayor and overseen by the library department. It is a community commission that advises the city council on arts initiatives and practices.
In 2017, Oceanside was selected as one of California's 14 inaugural cultural districts. The district is distinguished by virtue of Oceanside's character as original, eclectic, emerging, and connected to the city's diversity.
The arts matter for youth development and education. Arts education creates positive outcomes for students.
The arts matter for equity and inclusion. Arts and culture form natural bridges in a diverse community.
The arts matter for community celebration. Oceanside's many arts and cultural events are focal points of the community. The arts matter as a civic problem solver. Artists and arts organizations help communities solve real-world problems.
Oceanside Cultural District was designated because of the way that the community comes together around arts, and those different threads of arts throughout the city pull together and weave together to form the fabric of community that really helps everyone understand each other.
The city's first cultural plan, O-Arts Master Plan for the Arts, was created at the direction of City Council.
The O-Arts Plan has 4 major goals and strategies. The first is to support Oceanside's economic development through arts and culture. The second, to enhance Oceanside's cityscape through creative placemaking. The third, improve Oceanside as a place for artists and creatives to thrive and contribute to the community. And the fourth, to enhance arts governance within city government. Oceanside arts happen from the harbor down through South O, from the beaches and pier all the way to the farmlands. Many of Oceanside's events take place in the district. Museums, theaters, art galleries, studios, creative businesses, the public library, and restaurants reflecting the city's culinary scene are all concentrated there. Having the cultural district is an opportunity to highlight all these diverse cultures that are in the city. It's a huge benefit because these different communities are able to speak to each other through art. Oceanside is home to nearly 100 nonprofit arts and cultural organizations that embody the community's creative identity.
Oceanside is also home to a very diverse community of individual artists and creative professionals. Oceanside's civic and cultural scene encompasses a wide range of people, a culture that is real and diverse, unpretentious and creative. I think there's a real feeling of collectiveness. The cultural district designation is just an honoring of that fact, and it's the city's role to support individual artists, to support our amazing venues, and continue to make it a place where artists and creatives can thrive.
With that, I'll give you guys a copy of the plan. And inside there also is a little handout for the cultural district. Oh, geez. We're not always here. You guys want to look too, right? Sure. The OArts Master Plan for the Arts, the four major elements are the economic development, creative placemaking, supporting artists and creatives, and civic governance. And everything that we do in the Arts Commission, we refer back to this plan. We say strategy for, item number 16 or whatever, whenever we're deciding what to work on in our work plan. The way it came to be is Oceanside doesn't have a cultural arts department. Everything is much more, I'm not sure what the word is, but you know what I'm trying to get across. We have a couple of people that work in the library that do absolutely incredible work for the arts. And then within each department in the city, we have champions that say, hey, we're getting a new fire station. Let's do a mural in there. Or we've got a park, and let's go ahead and do some things that can help the children get more arts education, things like that, and partnering with some of those 100 arts and culture organizations. So it's very much a grassroots type of environment. We're trying to establish more and more wins such that the city will see that the arts are worth funding at a level that's appropriate for the city of Oceanside size. But until then, we're making it happen. I know that Encinitas also participated in the AEP6 study, the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study. What Oceanside did was we did two of them because we're overachievers. So we did one that was specific to the cultural district and one that was citywide. And so what we discovered from all that data gathering was that 80% of arts and culture spending happens in the cultural district, which is enormous. It points out that number one, we need to treasure the cultural district and really enhance it, but also we need to spread the love around the rest of the city too, because some of those areas just don't have that exposure to arts and culture activities. And so that's what we're trying to do more and more, is work with Parks and Rec, work with housing, work into the different community centers and have different programs and murals and community workshops and things. So. Carla had just said also that you guys would be really interested in understanding how to engage the community. So if you'll turn to page, let's see, it's Appendix D, page 47. We really that talks about how we had lots of meetings with not only cultural stakeholders, but also just general community meetings when welcomed the public. And if you turn to the next page, you'll see the list of the people that participated, that put their names down as attending the workshops. And so that's really where it came from. So the Arts Commission itself gets, at that time, it got $25,000 a year. And so what it did was it saved up that money for a number of years until we could afford a consultant. Because every time we talked about wanting to do something like this, everybody said, you can't do it yourself. You've got to hire a consultant, someone with a track record. And that turned out to be a very important decision that was made. So I did an RFP and engaged the consultant for a multi-year effort in order to come up with this. So do you guys have any specific questions?
I think it'd be great to hear, as far as these community engagement meetings, how did you invite people? Like, just kind of, sometimes we have, the ideas come easily, but the nuts and bolts of, like, well, what methods did you use to invite people?
Yeah.
What did those meetings look like? What happened during them? And how did you collate the information you got during them?
I must say ahead of time, I was not actually in the committee at that time. I joined right towards the end of it, but I did participate. And what happened is we made sure that we identified culture bearers in the community and had reached out individually to those people to make sure that those voices were heard, because these are people that have been thinking about it for a long time. And another thing is they happened where people were, in the libraries, in the community centers, in just, we made sure to go all around the entire city, and to engage. There are some, larger organizations like the Oceanside Museum of Art and the Oceanside Theater and Star Theater, Oceanside Cultural Arts Foundation, that we made sure that they promoted it to bring as many people as possible to the public sessions. Yeah.
And as far as identifying the goals, did those happen in, I imagine, in numerous ways, but like breakout sessions or surveys, or what kind of methods did you use?
Yes, there's one particular breakout session that's described in here, where it was there was a steering committee and there was a public meeting, and it just kind of they decided, oh, okay, well, we're talking so much, let's break out. Had different members of the steering committee head the different groups to draw out the conversations, and then it was ultimately the job of the consultant to collate all the information and come up with, this is what we heard, and reflect it back to the committee, to the steering committee, to say, hey, is this what you heard? Because this is what we heard. Yeah, and it's really important to drill it into very discrete and simple statements that everyone they understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for being
Hi.
here.
Sure.
I was curious, do you feel as though there were one or two particular factors that put Oceanside over the top when you were applying for a cultural arts district designation? Were there things that you found were particularly important? Or?
Well, one of the things that was important was CJ Demento. She's the librarian. She wasn't the head librarian at the time, but she's the head librarian now. And she just made sure that everything, you need somebody that's really keeping an eye on what the requirements are and also engaging everyone. I think one thing that helped us a lot is the density of cultural places in downtown. We have the museum, we have 2 theaters. At the time, we had a mural museum. They moved a little bit east, but they're still in Oceanside. We have the Art Walk. We have a number of different things. And so when the folks from the state came, because they did a visit for most of the people that applied, I believe, and we were able to just, really show how dense and how much the individuals were invested in the arts in the downtown.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just had a question about
Yeah.
the adoption by City Council. So when you would put this all together for the Arts Master Plan,
Yes.
anything recommendations or tips you could offer as far as getting that,
Well,
adopted?
Individual people went to each individual city council person over and over to make sure that they understood what we were doing and that they were on board. And if they had questions, we made sure they were answered ahead of time. So when it finally came to a vote, everybody knew what was going on, and they're just like, yeah, of course, I'm comfortable with it. Go for it. The other thing, though, that was important from a city council perspective is, unfortunately, there's nothing prescriptive about funding in here. And that was something that the consultant said, the city of Oceanside is not ready for that yet. So what you need to do is put all the ideas in here, but not force it to happen when we pass the plan. And so we've been working on those things ever since to try to build the awareness and build the political will to start doing a % for art or whatever.
I see. So that was kind of the part 2 to the adoption of the plan.
Yes, yeah. Adopting the plan was, ground zero.
Right.
Then the real work began.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But you mentioned, I think it mentions here, and I think you mentioned too, that the commission receives $25,000 a year from the city. Is that kind of set in stone, or that?
No, and actually, last year they just randomly doubled it to 50,000, so we were happy. But ultimately, for a city of 171,000 people, $50,000 doesn't really go that far. And that's why it was so important to work with all the other city departments and find opportunities to, really have the arts penetrate the whole fabric of the city. Yeah. But so no, it's not set in stone. It's just part of the budgeting process. So every year we sit down and we say, is this the year that we ask for, a lot more? Where's the political will? Where's our resources to be able to influence that political will, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So every year we do it, and we're like, not quite yet, but hopefully this year.
I think we'll take a few more questions just because we have such a full agenda tonight. But I know that there are some, and I have one more.
Okay, I was just going to ask, now that you've had this designation, has that increased the revenue for these businesses? And if you have any quantitative, numbers, if it's a 10% or if it's really kind of steamrolled the whole artistic economy and getting new businesses to
Yeah. So we did not do any baseline economic data gathering before the cultural district designation in 2017. I will say that the Visit Oceanside is our tourism organization, and they just work it to death. So yes, when you hear Visit Oceanside talk in their strategic planning, and we have a Main Street organization, Main Street Oceanside, they talk about arts in their strategic, arts are the top of the conversation in all these organizations, which never happened before. So yeah, I think it definitely helped, but I don't have any specific numbers. And there was always the concentration of organizations in downtown. Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just wondering about timeline. When council tasked you with an arts master plan, and then when was that, and how long did it take?
Just to be clear, council did not task
gotcha.
us with anything.
Sorry.
No, it was the Arts Commission that that decided this is really something, and if we're going to have some staying power and really grow, we really need to do this in order for there to be something that City Council will say that you're a responsible organization that's going to be able to grow it. So I believe it was 2 or 3 years before the engagement of the contractor. So it took, and we finished in 2019. So it took, I guess, about 5 years, 5 or 6 years, yeah, to actually pull it all together.
I meant to ask, is there a mechanism for, because it's been 6 years now since it was adopted, is there a mechanism for updating it? Does that happen? I'm sorry if I missed that part.
No, I didn't mention it. So this is officially a 10-year plan. So we will be reviewing it and revisiting it probably starting next year. But like I said, every year when we do our work plan, our Arts Commission work plan, it's derived from this plan.
Right.
So my expectation is that some of the things that we've accomplished will fall off, and other things we'll be able to really lean into, depending on resources and political will. Yeah.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you had the commission has received like 25 or 50,000. So does the commission kind of manage that money or decide like where it's going to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the commission decides. Sometimes it's like matching funds for a particular art project in the city. Sometimes it's for a couple of years it was to do this, and then for a couple more years it was to do the AEP6 study. So it just depends what projects are in front of us that we have the ability to fund. But normally it's partnerships. We can't do very much by ourselves with that amount of money for that amount of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's all about collaboration in Oceanside, all about collaboration.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much for being here. That was very informative, and look forward to seeing you elsewhere. If we do have questions, is it okay to shoot you an
Absolutely.
email? Okay.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Let's got my details.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll move on to number 5, oral communications.
There are no speakers for oral communications, but we do have speakers that would like to speak to agenda items, and I will introduce them when we get to agenda item 8A.
Okay, thank you. And I don't believe there are changes to the agenda.
Well, yes, there was a change to the posted agenda, as there was a public comment attachment that was received today regarding the youth piano competition that was added to the agenda for item 8A, Commission for the Arts Annual Work Plan.
Thank you. And we'll move on to item 7, approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read? Is there any comment, or would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Oh, you didn't finish? I thought I saw there were 6 because somebody's absent. We've got Robin, or no, okay.
Why am I? Never mind.
I don't think there was a problem with her.
Me? Yeah, I abstained. I wasn't here.
He wasn't here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me see if we can see that screen.
Hard to see with the thing across the
Yeah, let the record show that the motion to approve the minutes passes with 5 commissioners voting yes, Commissioner Romer who's absent, and 1 commissioner who abstained.
Great, thank you. So we will move on to action items 8A. And you want to announce those speakers?
Yes, for agenda item 8A, we have 4 speakers that would like to speak to agenda items. The first speaker is Molly Hintlian, and she is here to speak with a neutral position on agenda item 8A. So Molly, you may come up to the podium, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
I sent the presentation. Perfect. I think this is as low as it goes. Good afternoon, Commission. Thank you. Molly Hintley in District 2. A couple of weeks back, I spoke about the Pacific View Art Center because it was agendized as potentially going in a different direction. And what I want to say is I support this commission, and I think we've got a great brain trust of commissioners. I support utilizing our own resources, and I'm supporting your diligence that you're going through for the work plan to come up with ideas for programming. We have the expertise, and we have a very engaged community and lots of ideas. I, in particular, have taken a lot of classes throughout San Diego. One in particular that I'd like to point to your attention to look at is San Diego Craft Collective out of Point Loma. They do a lot of traditional and modern art craft, and they do all ages. Their center is not as glitzy as the Pacific View Arts Center. I think we have a really beautiful facility, but it'd be great if we had a little bit more access to the nitty-gritty of painting and getting messy. Sewing and other maker crafts are important. Examples of their pricing is important. Some of their classes, like in their wood shop, I took a Danish weaving stool class, and it was $350. So that's a commitment. But I think there's, when I first saw that the Pacific View programming, the pricing seemed a little bit high for most people. So just sharing other ideas. And then there was a person called ClickBix. They run classes at various art centers, and I would invite you, or I would like to invite her to come and do a presentation, because she does some really dynamic things with kids as well as adults. She's called ClickBix. And then I've taken classes at Carlsbad's Leo Carrillo Park. And so just looking at our neighbors and what they're doing and the cost that they're charging for their classes, some of them are one day and some of them are several days. So I just want to support the intended vision was to manage the Pacific View Arts Center similar to how we do the community center and the senior center, and not outsource it. So that's really what I wanted to support you on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker for agenda item 8A will be Scott Campbell. He is in support of a recommended action for 8A. So you may come up to the speaker or the podium, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
All right. You guys all know about this button, right? Okay, one more thing. I gotta get my glasses. Okay, good evening, council. I'm going to talk about Pacific View also. I have a little bit different perspective than Molly does, and it's about realism. First off, I'm going to ask the chair to ask the city staff to get down to the finances. What is the monthly cost? What is our monthly expenses? What are we getting right now? Because I'm pretty sure that right now we have to pay like $880,000 a year just for the loan. That's just for the loan. I also asked the commission here to go back to the council meeting from 2023, November 15th, where they list all the permitted uses and all the conditional uses, minor and major, and it's not pretty. And I think what you're going to really have to do is press the council to get a change in the zoning. Now, just for some little fun, this is some of the stuff that's actually permitted right now. Fire station, we have one. I don't think it's going to go away, just being realistic. A sewage treatment plant, employee housing, utility lines, gas, telephone, electric, police station, a jail, chiropractor, acupuncture. Those are things that are permitted right now. None of those really have to do with art. It's not good. You can get a conditional permit, and we can do an open-air theater. I don't know if it's going to bring enough money, but we can do this. And a lot of these other things are somewhat silly and ridiculous, but they're on the list of things that the city can allow. They allow equestrian, a fish hatchery, a tow yard, which actually would bring money. I shouldn't say this right now. Translate habitation. They actually might be interested in that. I should shut up about that. A recycling facility, courts. Pickleball is huge. I hate to say this, but these are things that the city would allow right now. Public parking. Maybe we could get an indoor golf course driving range. That's actually on the list of stuff. If you go back to that meeting. But fundamentally, it's about how much money do we really need to get out of this place to help the city? That's really what I'm up here for, to get you to think about. The city council is going to approach you, and they're going to collaborate, and I'll ask you to get ahead, because art is always ahead of culture. Art seems to be ahead of everything, and that's why I'm here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another speaker to speak in support of agenda item 8A, and that is Patricia Fisher. So you may come up to the lectern, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hello. Thank you for allowing us to speak today. I'm Patricia Fisher. I'm speaking on behalf of Advocacy for the Arts from not only the San Diego Visual Arts Network, located in Cardiff by the Sea, but also as chairman of North County Arts Network right now. I just want to briefly say that I endorse many of the items on the agenda today, under 8A, including Deanne Sabeck's sculpture, the skate park, and the youth piano. But I really want to talk about Pacific View and the remit that you were given by the council. It is my understanding that the community deserves a nonprofit art center, and that's what they agreed to fund. It was never supposed to be self-funding. The arts are very difficult to self-fund, and we live in a very wealthy community that has often told us how much they want this art center to be an active place for the community. It takes many, many years to do that. You only have to look at other places that have started, and we have to be realistic about how long it might take, to get the staff fully functioning, to get all the programs in place, and to have a really good creative team. It would be, of course, faster if we could raise more money. And I want the center to be seen as a community jewel. So it is not my understanding that the commission has been tasked to raise donations, but donations are really going to be the savior of the Pacific View Arts Center. So I would strongly recommend that you form some sort of Friends of Pacific View to raise funds, and that could start with some of our wealthier citizens who have children that are already taking classes at Pacific View, or the adults, to form a patrons organization to raise funds. That seems to me to be a big missing link here that you could all take advantage of. Someone has to take that on. It's not you, but to figure it out could be your job. I have to tell you, I haven't been asked to make a donation for Pacific View since before the city bought it. And why wouldn't I want to give a donation to support my community and to support this project? So that isn't the only a suggestion I have, but that's all I have time for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia.
And I have 2 other speakers that would like to speak to agenda items 8A, 2, 4, and 5, but I can introduce them when we get to those agenda items.
Sounds
if you
good.
prefer.
Okay, well, this is awesome. Everyone spoke to things that we will be discussing and bringing up. So it's so great to have what I would call, actually, I'm not going to say this publicly. Well, I am. A full house at a commission meeting. All right, so we're going to move on to number one, which is just that it has been confirmed that Commissioner Abert will be at the cultural tourism meeting this week, and has prepared to speak about a potential mural donation to the municipal golf course. So we just wanted to make sure that he was going to be there, and we'll give a full report and is able to speak to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, and thank you for getting me up to speed on that. And obviously between now and then, I welcome any more input on that, because I'm kind of coming into it cold. But yeah, I'm ready to take that on.
And then we have two city council directed items. 2A.
So yes, we have a speaker that would like to speak. Let's see. I believe it's right here. Well, just so you know, Rosemary Kimball does not wish to speak, but is, I believe, in support of agenda item 2A. Was that correct? But you said you checked. You do want to speak. Oh, it was circled. Okay, so we have Rosemary Kimball, but then it was crossed out. We have Rosemary Kimball who would like to speak to agenda item 8A2. And so you may come up to the podium, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission. She would also like to speak to agenda item 8A4, which she can do at that time as well. Okay.
It's so much fun to keep all these numbers. I'm just going to talk. I'm Rosemary Kimball, like pal. We go through this every once in a while, but I'm your pal. And first I wanted to say that in the original plan to create an art center at Pacific View, it was never designed to be self-funding. It was bought to be an art center for the city of Encinitas, to be owned and run by the city in the same manner as public parks are treated and provide for the enjoyment of the citizens of the city. There is not an entry fee for the libraries. It is for the enrichment of the city. Not everyone uses the fire department, yet it is provided for the citizens. So it's all in this realm. I have a couple of notes that Patricia didn't get to that I'm going to tell you. She has 1,000 ideas, and it's just fantastic that we get to have Patricia as a resource, because the San Diego Visual Arts Network is unbelievable. If you go to sdvan.net, you will find so much culture there for our city. She suggested classes for the homeless that can happen at the Pacific View, classes for art teachers, and classes for portfolio presentations for the kids that are getting into college and they need to know how to develop their portfolio for that kind of presentation. There's I know, you're between you and Raymond, it's fun. Okay. I am very much in favor of the funding of Deanne Sabeck's sculpture that is by the Cardiff Library now. That's what we're here about, right? We'll get to that. And I'm also in favor of the mural for this skate park, and continuing on with the piano competitions, which are fabulous. Thank you so much for all you're doing.
Thank you. Okay, so we will jump into 2A, which is to generate ideas that could help generate revenue funding to contribute to the Pacific View Arts Center. And I'm on August 12th, not August 12th, August 20th, Deputy Mayor Lyons brought forward a council-initiated item to talk about forming a subcommittee to generate ideas about how to move Pacific View forward. And for a number of reasons, council chose not to form a subcommittee right now. And essentially, what I took away is that they are waiting for more information. So it's just been 1 year since Pacific View Art Center opened its doors, and staff was already tasked after a year to develop a report. And so council will be receiving it, and council also will make sure that the commission receives the staff report that looks into all of the data collected from the year. And so that was what I took away is it's a slightly broader reading from our other work plan language. Yeah, Dave wants to jump in here.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we've gone through a couple times, Colette and I, to get the definition of the motion that was made at City Council. If you're okay, I'll gladly read through it quickly. We got this from the clerk today. Mary Ehlers made a substitute motion. Deputy Lyons seconded to bring back an annual report on the first year of Pacific View Arts Center to a special joint meeting of the City Council and the Commission for the Arts. 2, allow the Commission for the Arts sufficient time to complete their discussions and feel confident they've fulfilled the Council's directive, and present their findings at a future joint meeting where the formation of a subcommittee can also be considered. And that passed. And the one thing that was discussed was Parks and Recreation and Cultural Arts bring all the information for the first year, budget, use, breakdown, and share this at the joint meeting so both City Council and the Commission of the Arts was getting the same information at the same time. So we thought that was great. I mean, what a great opportunity. We've done this with other commissions. We thought this was a win-win.
And that's great. That is my understanding too, having listened to the meeting 3 times. And I'm just waiting to hear the actual direction, because I know sometimes it can be interpreted then, whether we will have 2 joint meetings or one, like receive the report and then have a joint meeting after to present our work. We will definitely have that meeting. It sounds like we will have a joint meeting to receive the report as well. But I just wanted to put out there that the gist of it is that council wants us to do some work, come back with that work, present it, and to take into consideration the finances, the models of operation, all of these sorts of things. And so my suggestion is that we continue twofold. One is that thank you to Commissioner Morakovitz and Commissioner Fader for using the template and generating a list of ideas. And I'd say we should just continue doing that on one side so that those ideas will add to a growing folder of ideas. And part of it is that we've already received some from the public, which is so great. And so we will make note of those, and I can put those into template form, and it will just be, here you go. And then my other suggestion is that we do form an ad hoc to do a bit of a deeper dive and to, I don't necessarily want to say act as a steering committee, but to have a sense of how to, just kind of formalize our ideas for that with the direction of that ultimate joint meeting for council. So let me just check on my notes here.
Can I ask a quick question about that?
Yeah.
Are you saying ad hoc between the 2 meetings? Because there was talk about this initial meeting. The one thing I didn't hear, by the way, was what kind of timing they were thinking of, but
So I would say, it depends. If we do a joint meeting to receive the staff report, staff, do you have any sense of when that report will be finished and ready to present?
I think this is best guess from the director. Not that we were ready to go in September, but finding that timing where both with the commission and the council, I think we're looking at an October time, and we hope to come back and it'll be by emails, give you some dates to see if that'll work, and we can get a large enough group to attend.
So the idea with the ad hoc is just form an ad hoc, and I don't think council is in. Council wants to give us the time needed, and so I think it's, they're giving us a vote of confidence to do the work needed to make whatever kind of recommendation we feel is suitable. So I don't think we need to be too concerned about how long the ad hoc will work or all of that, but I do think if in considering participating in the ad hoc that you need to be available and that there will be some work to be done. If everyone's okay with the forming of an ad hoc, then I would go ahead and nominate Commissioner Romer to be on that ad hoc. She has so much experience from working at ICA. She's very passionate about this particular item, and I know that she would want that. And I do have the time and the desire to be on it, but I also am curious to hear from everyone else because I don't have to be,
It sounds as though, do we probably need her to be here to actually formalize this, right?
No, we can nominate and vote on it, and then when she is here, she can just choose to accept it, and if she doesn't, then someone else would take in.
Personally, I think you two would be great candidates, but, obviously, anybody else is interested.
Well, I'm available to be on that commission ad hoc as well, but I believe the whole commission that they were wanting everybody to participate, but I don't know how that will work. And I just had a quick clarifying question for Dave. Is the budget document that you are preparing going to be provided to us before the joint meeting, if it's ready, or are we going to receive it and discuss it in real time?
Yeah, trying to get how to put this. As an ad hoc meeting, and we want to have a sit down, and we want to talk about budget, we can do. There's no we can't do. Council, though, we took from council was they wanted it to have information at the same time. Our work with budget isn't what we have or don't have. It's just separating arts from Pacific View. Our budget is arts. So our effort at the end of the budget year is going through the process and making sure we're just Pacific View conversation. But as a group, we can talk about that.
Okay, so just as a background information, I sent a letter to Dave and Colette about after watching the council meeting where they directed people there was going to be a larger effort for our commission. So I asked them to provide all the commissioners this information. Monthly revenues and costs associated with Pacific View since it opened last year. Any proposals that were received when Pacific View was being planned, including ideas that were passed around and not adopted. Staffing needs and costs broken down per hour of instruction. And then a list of the constraints, the Coastal Commission rules that dictate what site can be used. So when Colette responded to me, there was a discuss of the document that needs to be double checked. And so is this a document that will be released at the joint meeting, or is that going to be something that you'll provide to us before that?
So we were directed from council to prepare that first year report.
Yeah.
And those things are part of that. So as Dave was saying, we have arts programming that happens not only at Pacific View, but also at the community center, and a couple of things that have happened at the library. So in order to make sure we're not over-reporting, we're going back through and making sure all of the data is Pacific View only. Some of the information that you requested in there isn't information that is managed by Parks and Rec, but we are also interested in gathering that. It's not under our direct purview, so we don't have direct access to it.
That's not, I totally understand separating the costs. I'm just asking, my clarifying question earlier was asking Dave if this document that we're going to have the joint meeting, is it about this document?
It's the first year report.
Okay, can we receive the document with a few days prior to review, and so we can have a more thoughtful joint meeting, is my question? Or is it something that we won't see until we're right there?
So
Let me take that one.
Okay.
No, I mean, let me ask. I mean, what I'm saying, my understanding of council was we wanted it together.
Right.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I mean, you wanted us to give a presentation. This will be a full-blown presentation. Here's all the numbers, all those you ask great questions. Those are great budget questions to put together. But like I said, when it comes about talking about the overall budget, and I think you added to the ad hoc committee, we can discuss budget and go through numbers, but specific full year, I mean, to make sure that every one of your questions is answered, it's kind of like a promise, like that will be at that joint meeting. We've been directed, you will do it then.
okay.
But we're not holding any numbers back from you either.
No, I know you aren't. I was just trying, in my mind, walking into a meeting with a big fat set of numbers. I'm an artist. I don't do numbers. I would be very confused. And so that's why I was trying to say, if we're going to have this meeting, it would be really helpful to have this before. And I was watching when Bruce was and during the meeting saying that staff would be available to assist us to obtain these documents. So I just want to make sure that when you referred to the articles that were like left on the drawing room floor, items that were discussed for Pacific View, that was another group. And so I'm not sure if there's someone I can ask, or we're inviting them to a meeting.
No, I would say that's me. I mean, let me find out if I
Okay.
can give you all that before the joint,
Okay.
or where the pool is there.
And also, at least since I've been involved in this project since about 2022, I listed all of the significant report dates and meetings that I know have that information in them. There's attachments and there's all kinds of data in there. When we were meeting with the community group who was doing a lot of that brainstorming, anything prior to that, a couple of those I knew about. So I added the dates when EACEA had a meeting. So those are really rich in information. And it's a lot of pages. It's a lot. You got to go through each one. But that is where they live. Is there.
So you directed me to about 18 or 19 meetings, and so I have to go and try and locate those meetings on a website. And
They're all in agendas and webcasts. They're all from that same page. And
so
then
I have to read them on a browser. So there's no way I could receive like a stack full of document files
Not that I'm
not
aware
have to, because it seems like it's by the time I even get through 19 of these, that I'm going to be pretty done with my time.
Vicki, let me give you some homework then. And I don't know if I have the specific date. The city council meeting where they.
Well, November 15th, 2023, for example, was a good one.
Okay, so get that date if you would. Sorry, I'm not giving directions. I'm just sharing homework. I've seen that now 3 times. That's a really key meeting and for operations of Pacific View. There's a lot of others. You're right. There were a lot of meetings, but I would make sure I have that one. And I got more out of watching it than I did so much from digging through all the notes. I like to see things and drag out and take my own notes. That's just me. But I would recommend starting there, and we can continue to have conversations about this or that.
And there's great links in there too, so you can either choose to read it or you can watch it, depending like which link that you push.
Okay, I was secretly hoping that there was a list of doc files that you could just email me, and it would save me like 50 hours of work.
Unfortunately, there are not. That doesn't exist. I went and checked.
Okay, thanks.
To ask, and that's not a thing.
Thank you. Okay,
It's
just
not.
And one of the things that I brought back as part of our conversation tonight was, bear with me, This is from the, well, not only is this from I think this is the November, originally presented at the November 15th meeting, but I shared it with all of you at your May meeting, where I brought back, just as a reminder, some of this information. So just as a refresher, you can go back in and find these things. So these were some of the land uses that had been called out and what their current status is.
It doesn't list the fishing pond.
So these were arts-related ones that were called out. The full zoning matrix is also attached to that, so you can look at it. And you're right, there are all kinds of things. Open-air theater is actually on there, but part of the direction that was given to staff when opening the center was to make sure not only was it a permissible by right use, so no discretionary permits would be required, but also to use the existing buildings. And that's where the open-air theater fell out of contention as something that we could do, because we couldn't turn the buildings as they were into a functional theater. So when we were determining the permissible uses, this chart made this to try and help for those of us who are very visually oriented. We started with that bigger bucket of the zoning, which is that zoning matrix. So that's where we have the fishery and the open-air theater and the fire station that is on campus and coming along so far on schedule. And then we had to look at those existing buildings. So that took that big bucket of options and took it down. So that was a smaller bucket to work within. And then we had occupancy. So that's how many humans can we have in each of those rooms? And since the most we can have, I think one of the rooms is 19 and all the rest of them are 18 is where it maxes out. And actually in room 5, because it's got a bifurcation with the studio, the number of students we can have in a room there is only 14. So the uses there came down even more because we had to work within all of these constraints. So when the community committee that was working on generating ideas in the very beginning, they started really big. And then zoning paired out some of those, existing buildings paired out some of those, and then occupancy paired out even more. Things like woodworking has been brought up, and there is no exhaust system. So we can't have woodworking until we have an exhaust system. To have glass blowing.
I'm going to jump in here real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have so much on the agenda.
Okay.
All of this information, the past history is there. It's not that complicated to get to on the agenda page, and then documents are there. And thank you. There's so many fantastic reports with all of that. They've been presented here at past meetings. They are available, and absolutely, I think in order to do a joint meeting with council, we all have a lot of homework to do. I think what gave me pause about a joint meeting, and I think, Vicki, this is maybe what you're speaking to as well, is to come unprepared to a joint public meeting with City Council to receive a report. And even if we have memorized, downloaded all of the history and really necessary information in order to make sure that we're not throwing ideas out that are not useful, right? Mistakes happen, redundancy can happen, but I think we're all very conscious of saying, hey, anything we put forth should be doable, usable, helpful. So I think the question, and that's what gave me pause about doing a meeting, a joint meeting, just to simply receive information, because my understanding, having ever talked to council members or with the mayor, was that any joint meeting, basically, you come prepped with a statement, and then everyone can publicly hear each other make those statements about the subject. So that's just new and different.
And I suspect that this agenda will be published much more in advance. The commission agendas are usually only put out with that minimum. They go out either on the Thursday or the Friday prior to the Monday meeting, so within compliance. The council often go out the week prior. So while I can't guarantee, there's usually more time for those.
Okay. So yeah, again, I think the biggest takeaway is that we have a pretty broad scope of possible work, what we, and then what we choose to do. So I hear that I will nominate Commissioner Romer to be on it. I will accept being on it. Vicki, you've expressed interest. Is there anyone else who has interest in being on the ad hoc to do kind of a deeper dive, or at least, again, I know, I'm just making sure because I'm chair and I can always duck out.
Okay.
No, okay. So I make a motion to form an ad hoc. Do we have to, is it a motion or a vote? Yeah, a motion is a vote. To form an ad hoc with myself, Chair Fox, and Commissioner Romer for City Council directed item. What item is it? I don't have the work plan in front of me.
Is Commissioner Campbell in there?
and sorry, my God. Seriously, I've been up since 4 a.m. and I came running. I changed in my car from a soccer practice, so forgive me. I do this every meeting to somebody, right? With the ad hoc including Vicki as well.
Before, I'm sorry, I don't mean to throw a wrench in things, but just real quickly before we vote on this, because then this item will kind of be closed out. Just as a housekeeping matter, I did have a couple of ideas on the template. So are those better submitted electronically so that they can be part of the mix?
I don't think the conversation needs to be over at this point on the item.
All right.
So yeah, we
As long
have
as we're
2
not-
electronic that have been attached to the agenda earlier.
Yeah.
Anyone can come in and verbally share because lots of things happen, before 2 weeks in advance of these meetings, which is when
Right.
you would need to attach it to the agenda, or a week. So let's continue with a motion, and then we
Okay.
can move on to that. But for sure,
Perfect.
that I know that is an important part of the conversation as well.
Great, thank you.
Can you just restate which agenda item you're creating the ad hoc for? It's agenda
Yes.
item.
Let me pull up the work plan. It's for the city council directed item. Thank you. I believe it's 13 or 3.
3.
3. Thank you.
I think we're just waiting on a second.
I'll second.
Let the record show the motion passes with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Romer, who is absent.
Thank you. So, yeah, to kind of fill in people here in the public forum, that we have a template just to help collect these ideas when council first tasked us with the item to they said just generate a list of ideas that can increase funding, revenue funding at Pacific View. And we thought, okay, we will do that, and also obviously have ideas about that ask as well. But so we did that template. There's 2 attachments to tonight's agenda, and then Commissioner Hebert may have more, or anybody else. And I don't know how, I'm just checking the time. So it's 7 past. We can certainly go through them, discuss them, or we can also just say, yes, we've all read them, sounds good, let's put that in that folder. And if there's any more work, I know there are some line items in there, like there might be questions for staff about what kind of costs to staff an idea would involve. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm good with your choice B, sorry to interrupt. Given that we do have a lot to cover and, maybe putting these in the record and having a chance to look at them at our leisure, because I have questions about kind of whether these ideas fit into the kind of administrative / legally permissible things that, the city can, the ways that the city can accept funding. So So maybe, so maybe we put them on.
And I think, it's one of those things, again, there's so much work that is done, obviously. I mean, very little work is actually done at these actual meetings, right? Most of it happens not in the meeting. So if there are questions for staff, they're so accessible to email them or meet with them. Even though an ad hoc was just formed, again, just a reminder that any item on our work plan item, we all hopefully are working on individually. And so especially for this one, I think it's easy to have some items have an ad hoc form, and then you're like, okay, in your head, it's kind of like, okay, they're working on it, check, that will get done. This item is not that, right? So continue thinking about it, and the breadth of work, I'd say, just got bigger in a way, or at least I'm reading more between the lines, and so don't feel, hemmed in by that language. But so I'd say, put together those templates, share them, and then at a future meeting, too, we can decide to, hey, now we have 10, now we have 15, now we have 20. Is there any specific one that we really need to discuss or go into or have questions or get help from each other? Does that sit well with everyone? Okay. Okay. And so I'm assuming we're good to move on to the next action item? Okay.
Can I just share a quick bit of information? I would just wanted to share that ClickBits is currently one of our contract instructors at Pacific View, and several of the suggestions that came up in terms of recommended programming, we either currently have or have had, and a lot of times that is dictated both by community interest as well as available instructor.
Great. And how is best, we're emailing these templates to you to agendaize, but also obviously to have eyes on. And so what's the best process as far as if there's something that comes in and you're like, yeah, cool, we are already doing that, or we tried that and it didn't work. Please share that at our meetings, and then we can all say, okay, let's, change that one, modify it, or take it out.
Mostly just so you've got that information.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we will move on to the second council-directed item, which is to recommend goals. This is number 13 of our work plan. Recommend goals and policies for the arts that are consistent with the other general plan elements. And let's see. Essentially, with the speakers tonight, with the speaker, we kind of kicked off that item. And as we agreed, our October meeting will be fully dedicated to that topic. So we're going to put out individual invitations and invitations through our personal and professional networks, and ask staff to put out an invitation through all of the networks that are usually used for arts-related items, to hold a meeting in October that essentially is going to focus on just the goal aspect of that ask. And it's going to be run more like a workshop. We're going to have a very, very light agenda to help facilitate that, so we can break out where members of the public, arts organizations, businesses, us, can do breakout sessions and kind of brainstorm about those goals. And hopefully we leave that meeting with a short list that can then inform the next steps. So the one ask is to see if we can, considering the library community room is just such a known location for people. A lot of people who I've invited to these meetings, they're like, what room is it in City Hall? Where is City Hall? And so if it can happen in the library community room, that would be awesome. I know that that's an ask for tech, and so just if you could help facilitate, great. If it doesn't come to fruition, then so be it.
Yeah, we just need to confirm that in terms of it's a public meeting and it needs to be recorded and documented, that they have the resources and we can be in compliance in doing that.
Yep. And then to make the invite easier, I'll go ahead and send a draft email to staff and to the commission that basically the main message is like share your input for goals for the arts moving forward in Encinitas. The ad hoc wants the language to remain really simple and welcoming and not kind of get mixed up into like, oh, I have no idea how to write a general plan. I'm not going to attend. And obviously in October, I'll be very clear that it's not an arts master plan that we're being asked to write, and that we'll go into have attachments and examples and all of that. So, but I'll send out a draft email. I think I've covered enough publicly tonight that I can do that without, that is still an informational item. And
then just the reminder that because I know you want this to get posted so much earlier, it just means you have to let me know when all of that is complete and ready so that we don't post before you're ready.
Great. Yeah, I will aim to get it to you early, and I'll let you know what early means.
Perfect.
And is there anything that anyone would like to add for that?
Just on the inviting the public, getting the word out, I think as part of that warm welcome and invitation, just to make it clear what the purpose of this is, because I think that, like you said, anytime you get general plan language in there, it gets a little confusing. But really, this is just information gathering from the public so that they can have their input as far as what they want to see in the arts in the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I think my understanding, like for an arts element for a general plan, it has an introduction, it has purpose, it has goals, and then policies underneath each of those goals, and it's very general because it's meant. I think it's like 25 to 50 years. Like it's a very overarching document. But I know that this council is wanting to work much more directly with the general plan than before. And it's great that they see that hole, that the arts is actually not covered in it. So what has been recommended is that we come up with an element that can fit into the recreation element. And we are inviting speakers, we're gathering information, we're educating ourselves and staff and public and council. And then we'll see what our recommendation will be. Jennifer?
I was thinking maybe it would be helpful for public to be able to have a link or something to the general plan that's already existing to find out what's there and how it's worded and how it's set up and structured.
I'm gonna, the ad hoc is gonna send some, ask Colette to make some attachments to that agenda. And the recreation element will be part of it, as for people to be able to look at. Yeah, and also examples of other cities' arts general plans, goals. But I will send links to everything that we want, and not that's not an ask for you, Colette. Yeah. Did you have something to pop?
You did a great job of covering it. I would share that the general plan, which has the recreation element in it, is on the city's website. If you open the city's website, it's on the upper right-hand side. It's a document that I've gotten to know, but it's available there too. But sending it out's great.
Thank you. All right, so we will move on. How are we doing here? To number 3, discussing the city mural plan. Are you saying, okay.
And just one quick note. For agenda item 8A3, please note that Rosemary Kimball is in support of this agenda item but does not wish to speak.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers for that?
We have 2 speakers for agenda item 4.
For 4,
and 1 for
okay.
agenda item 5.
Great. So for this one, because our sculpture loan program recommendations, potentially, if they're accepted, will help form a mural program or policy, we have decided in past meetings that to wait until council reviews that before forming an ad hoc or working more deeply on it. I think we decided that in August, and that was when we thought that the sculpture loan program report was going to council in September, but now it has been bumped from that schedule. I think it was 9th or 10th, and I don't believe that a date has been set for the council to hear that. Is that true?
That is correct. It was originally scheduled for September 10th, and I do not yet have a date for when it has been continued.
Okay. So I'd say for now, I suggest focusing on our efforts on everything else we've discussed here so far, and perhaps other things, unless anyone wants to begin kind of roughly working on that or forming an ad hoc or anything. Okay. And again, just to note, for mural propositions or, donations, if they come in, we're just making sure that they're not, we're waiting to do that unless something really timely comes in which case we will give it our attention. Does anyone have a coffee for me? No. Okay, so we will move on to number 4 and listen to 2 speakers.
Okay, the first speaker is Rosemary Kimball. She would like to speak regarding agenda item 4. So did you already speak on that earlier? Was that the one? Okay, so that was already taken care of. So I'll move to the next speaker. We have Naime Woodward, who would like to speak in support of agenda item 8A. Number 4. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
And he did say push that one. Yeah. Okay, you can hear me. Well, good evening. I think most of you know me, Naime Woodward. I live in Encinitas, and I'm the president of Encinitas Friends of the Arts. It's exciting, and it's an honor to be here on behalf of Encinitas Friends of the Arts to essentially ask and request that you discuss this item that's set forth, and I have sent I believe in your packets you have the information I've said, and if there's a possibility of perhaps it could be discussed, and the project has been vetted, the artwork has been vetted, and we would like to purchase this magnificent sculpture by Deanne Sayback and donate it back to the city is one of the things that has been part of our mission. And it's been a while since we have done that. So we're very excited about it. And I just want to let you know that the community is very supportive of it. And Allison Alison from Cardiff 101 wanted to be here, but they have a board meeting. And the city of Cardiff the community is behind this undertaking, and so once it's approved by you, it would obviously has to go to the council, and then we will start our fundraising efforts, which I don't anticipate taking very long, and I think it would be a wonderful addition to the community. So I wasn't aware. I thought perhaps you guys are going to vote on it tonight. I'm not sure if you're or you're not, but if I could encourage you to do that, so it's not keep getting pushed forward, because we have a lot of work to do, and it's a wonderful project, and it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. But then again, I don't know what's on your list of things to do. And Deanne is here with us, and should there be any questions, please feel free to ask her while she's here about the piece, and I think other things that you need to know, it's in the packet, and so I thank you in advance.
Thank you. Does anyone want to ask any questions or hop in? I have a few points of consideration, but I just want us to, probably don't want to hear me talk anymore for a moment.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. So this sculpture is on site and has been for a number of years, right? And
let me just hop in. So the sculpture is titled Luminous Wave, and it is by Diane Sabak, who's so well-known local artist here and former commissioner. And you also started the sculpture loan program, which is what it is part of right now. So it's being displayed in Cardiff, right by the library on the sculpture pad there. That is one of the locations of the sculpture loan program. And so and
As part of the temporary art installation, if you recall, we installed 4 initially, and I think we did 1 more throughout the city.
Okay,
So it's
right.
temporary, so we would like to make it permanent, make
Got
it
it.
part of the city's permanent collection.
Right. I guess my memory was that it had been there longer than that, but so essentially, it would be making this permanent. It's been there just kind of on temporary loan, and this would make it permanent as a donation from EFA to the city.
We will purchase it, and
Right.
then we will donate it to the city. We've done
Yeah.
it. We purchased Jeffrey Sludden, the sculpture on 101. That was our first donation to the city. So we would like to make this and continue to do so. So that has been one of our objectives.
And I think I saw, so it would be essentially unchanged, except I think the artist talked about cutting those bolts down,
Yeah.
right, and doing some preservation to it, yeah, which makes sense, so, okay,
and
thank you.
yeah, well, let me back up here first and just say thank you, right? I think it's so great. The EFA has done such awesome work for the city and making the arts as like an integrated part of the city and of the public space. And I think it's super exciting that you want to do this. I think, I've only heard so much positive stuff about this sculpture, as well as visiting it myself. And I feel that there's no question at the yes to accept the donation or no. I would say absolutely the donation should be accepted. I think the points of consideration here are whether it stays on that pedestal in that place or not. And I think it's just a really interesting question to begin with. I mean, and that I would suggest, since we're hearing it for the first time tonight, usually the process is that an ad hoc is formed and that it's part of the public art policy that it not only comes before the commission, but then we do our due diligence and analyze and make a recommendation to city council. So, again, because the sculpture loan program, we have a slide in our presentation to council, which is about a future consideration, which is exactly this point. What happens when a donation of a sculpture comes or the city wants to purchase one of these temporary sculptures? And does it stay where it is? If it doesn't, where does it go? And if it does, is that location taken out of the loan program, or is a new location found and designated? So again, they're just all interesting questions, and I think we're kind of waiting for some direction from council. And also, they're things for us to think about. I think, Dan, when you started the program, no one had any sense that it would take this long to have the first cohort of sculptures go in, and that that the building of the pedestals was pretty complex and more costly than anticipated. And a learning process too, right? A lot of those sculptures didn't even necessarily fit that pedestal and yada yada. So yeah, I just think it's worth considering. I know that residents of Cardiff love that sculpture. I know they love it there, and I know it fits very well there. And I also know that location is like the most coveted for artists to apply to for this program, and that the beauty of the program is about inviting artists to and having work displayed throughout the city in hopes of having more public art in the city. So I think it I don't know, I'm thinking of a bunny effect here, right? You place a few and then, oh my gosh, look, 10 years later. So
Can I answer?
yeah, give us your thoughts, sure.
Because when we first started the sculpture program, it was always part of the idea that they would be bought and
Hey, hold, if you could, just up to
Come
the
here,
podium, you need to be
yeah.
official. Any comment?
Okay, so when this was first started, the initial idea was that ones out of the temporary program could be either purchased by people or they could be donated to the city as permanent pieces. And then they would just add more pedestals as we went along, so that the temporary one kept going, and that would give us a lot of opportunities for sculptures. So for instance, on that corner, there's 3 other corners at that corner, 3 other locations. So that could become a really interesting spot. And I will say I did actually make that piece specifically for that location. And it wasn't intentional, it was just a real stroke of luck from the universe that at certain views, you see Rob Machado, the surfer, looks like he's surfing right on the wave of the glass, which that was a total
I'm sure
surprise
you
to
did
me.
studies of the location. We're there at 12:01.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
Great.
how it could continue.
Yeah. Naime, let me ask you this. If I know it's so costly, I know that this council is fiscally conservative as far as giving more budget to the department. Do you think that EFA would want to, include some fundraising for another pedestal if something like this happened, or?
I don't see a problem. Why not? I mean, in fact, we got a grant from the county for the pedestal that we put underneath Jeffries. So I can simply write a grant for that.
Okay, yeah, I think something like that would be awesome. I don't want to delay your work, and I know our October meeting is solely dedicated to that one item, unless something comes up that absolutely has to be talked about in October. I think it's strongest to make a full recommendation to council with something like this, which I would want to include location, although it's not really our purview to say location. We can just make a recommendation. But what does everyone feel about? A, I want to just hear your thoughts, and then B, it is possible that we could make a recommendation to accept the donation and have further discussion about location, just because I think it garners, I'm repeating myself, but the program is so important, so it garners having a solution to that element of it.
Absolutely. I totally understand it, and I'm fairly confident the council will approve it. They love that piece, and I think my conversations with them, they will welcome it. And just to add real quick, in terms of, I know I'm jumping to the mural project. We are going to be submitting another project, perhaps in October, that has to do with donating a mural at the skate park. And I know the council is very enthusiastic about it, and they may, in fact, ask for it. They have been reaching out to us, and they're saying, why aren't you doing it yet? So I just want to put that out there for conversations or on your work plan for October. That's what I understood. So I think they will welcome the opportunity, and obviously we'd love to see more sculpture pads and to continue with the program. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to suggest that I think we could take the proposal and vote on whether or not just to accept that proposal and move it along to City Council. But then once the donation part happens, once the sculpture is purchased and the donation proposal is submitted, I think at that point, then we could, hopefully the sculpture loan program policies will have been reviewed by City Council, which will help guide that donation acceptance and placement. So maybe it's more of a two-step process. That's just a suggestion.
Could you clarify which piece you thought was going to be coming? We have received their donation proposal.
The one by the Cardiff Library, the wave that's part of the sculpture loan program.
Yeah, is there additional information you were looking for?
The only information that I'm looking for is just the acceptance or denial of the sculpture loan program policy recommendations that were put forth to council, so that if they were to accept that, that might help guide, how we go about making a recommendation for the location based on whether or not additional pads will be provided. So it just seems like this particular donation ties into the sculpture loan program on the whole.
Right, so just in terms of the recommendation, be really clear in whatever your motion is, what you're approving, or what your recommendations are.
Let me jump in. I believe you're saying, yes, make a vote to accept this proposal, and then talk about locations later when we have more information from council.
Correct, because the actual donation of the sculpture hasn't happened yet, correct? Because you're going to fundraise to make that donation.
And I think, just in reviewing the proposal, it's, requested that it says it for it to stay in Cardiff. I think we can okay that. And it's requested that it stay where it is, but it's not written that is the only way that you will donate this. Like if we vote yes, we recommend this proposal, I'm just noting that that part about being on that pedestal it's suggested, but it's not, it's nothing that we can't vote for today and be binding today.
Makes sense.
Could we say that we accept the donation as if it's coupled with a pedestal to replace the one that's going to be removed from our sculpture loan program, so that it makes it really easy and the funding for the new pedestal would be determined at a different meeting, and you could start fundraising right away for this? Does that make sense?
We can make whatever proposal, whatever recommendation we want to make. So if we want to tie the acceptance of this sculpture with funding from the full funding from the EFA to a pedestal, my opinion is that it shouldn't necessarily be tied. I feel like this is the first night that's been brought up. Naime is very positively, receptive to that idea. And then details as far as understanding how much money does that really mean, and does it include install? There's so many.
It will delay the whole project.
I see. Okay.
So I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to submit it to the board too.
Yeah. Yep. But a conversation that started tonight, and I don't know, what does everyone else think?
I think that, you got to make sure we don't put the cart before the horse yet for some, with the procedures and everything. So I like to wait.
I'll actually like to push to push for a vote today, so as not to be a bottleneck for everything that's already lined up. All we are doing is taking a vote to recommend to council, and the details can be then figured out later. But I feel that if we don't vote today, then it'll just get pushed out, and as you're stressing. Not needed, the delays, so.
Why don't we, I think unless anyone wants to add comment, we could put it to a vote. And so I would make a motion to accept this proposal as it is, and with the knowledge that we will think about location and next pedestals and the integrity of the program and all of that stuff, and have continued conversations. But the actual motion is to accept the proposal and make a recommendation to council to accept the donation of Luminous Wave by Diane Sayback from Encinitas from the Arts. Friends of the Arts, sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that I'll second that if that's the motion.
Okay.
Let the record show that the motion passes with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Romer, who is absent.
All right, nice. nice to have something happen and clapping and I think it's the vibe I want in here. We all want. Okay, so where are we? That is number 4, and so now we are on 8A number 5 to review expenditures for the 2024-25 Youth Piano Concerto Competition and related concerts with the North Coast Symphony Orchestra. And this is information that Vice Chair Morakovitz asked to be included tonight as part of a discussion about this program being canceled. And why don't you take
real quick, Commissioner Fox, or Chair Fox, I do have one last speaker. Naime Woodward would like to speak in support of Agenda Item 8A5. And before we get started, so as a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Okay, thank you. Naime Woodward again, just for the record, and Encinitas Friends of the Arts. I'm going to go ahead and read it because I think this is a very important thing, and obviously I'm in support of it. The Youth Piano Concerto Competition in the last couple of years provided an extraordinary opportunity to highlight and celebrate young musicians while enriching the cultural life of Encinitas. Supporting the expenditure of these events ensures the grand piano generously donated to the city of Encinitas by Encinitas Friends of the Arts is put to its highest and best use, which offers a world-class performance experience to talented students. These competitions not only inspire the youth who participate, but also engages our residents and visitors, further establishing Encinitas as a leader in fostering cultural and artistic excellence. Importantly, while some students may come from outside Encinitas, which I understand is the cause why it was canceled, their participation only broadens the impact and visibility of these events. Welcoming regional talents brings fresh perspectives, attracts diverse audiences, and strengthens connections between our city and the wider arts community. This inclusive approach amplifies the prestige of the competition, in my opinion, and draws attention to Encinitas as a cultural destination. This perhaps can be added to the conversation, what kind of arts we want to have here, and maximize the benefits of the piano donation and desired future donations for the entire community. We donated this piano with that in mind. We donated the piano so it could be used for all its glory. I mean, it's incredible that we fundraised for that a few years ago, so we would like it to be used. So we would like to support this expenditure, whatever it takes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a super successful, innovative program. It brings a lot of benefits to the city, and I'm going to wait to share my thoughts actually till the end of this discussion. And Jennifer, why don't you hop in, and then I'd like to hear from everyone else, and then I'll share anything else that hasn't been discussed.
Okay. Thank you, Director, for including it in, and Colette, thank you. I was just wondering, maybe to start off by asking, what is your analysis as you know, the manager of things when you look at those numbers, patterns, trends, or things?
So can I give are you okay with a short presentation? Let me share my thoughts. So this isn't about money. This isn't about money spent. It's a broader view of the possibilities. So what I mean by that is what we put on the last 2 years was something to be proud of. Looking at quotes today and looking at articles about the subject, we go back to the kind of the marketing material and the call out of the children or youth that participated that were the 3 winners in each year. The city's excited to collaborate with the North Coast Symphony Orchestra to uplift young musicians. That's from Colette. And Encinitas has a rich history of championing the arts and nurturing young talent. We're delighted to offer students the chance to perform on the city's Steinway D concert grand piano, a world-class, piece. But as we go forward, the Youth Piano Concerto, which costs approximately $14,000 to host, has been a celebrated event in those 2 years. Like I said, showcasing that talent. However, despite its success, the event did not significantly impact local youth engagement. That's the goal. In light of these findings, the city and the commission will explore alternate programming that could better serve the community's interest and encourage youth involvement in music. Ideas include educational sessions that would allow children to interact with musical instruments and learn about music in a more engaging way. The shift aims to foster a deeper connection between local youth and the arts, music, ensuring that future initiatives are more aligned with the community needs. Now, I pulled out the council letter that this commission sent the city council with the recommendations last year. This was they received on January 6th. I'm reading from that letter. It may be worthwhile to prepare for a high-quality program for the upcoming year, 25-26. With advance notice for planning, a program could be created to foster high standards of excellence for innovative uses of the concert grand piano at the Recreation Center. To support this work plan item, it is recommended by the Commission for the Arts to endorse the concept of mentorship for aspiring youth pianists of all ages and levels led by master artists in the field. The City of Encinitas already hosts a number of accomplished professional performers. It would be beneficial for youth to learn about these musicians. No questions. And that was the letter that was sent by the Commission to City Council. So I'm looking at the idea of an event that had no youth from the city of Encinitas performing and said, let's change that. Let's use the resources that we spent here and staff time here and do something else amazing. Let's plan this. And talking about the recommendation of council, I'm recommending, find some willing piano players to play some inspiring music. Our last art night, we've talked about this before, the youth that performed at art night was amazing. And as somebody who doesn't play the piano and always has wanted to, but is not very good at it, I think it's amazing to watch somebody do that, to perform, to make what I think is magic, is art with the piano. But at the same time, not just have a person perform. Instead, have that person, kind of like we talked about the mentorship, ask youth to come. Those that already play the piano, let's get them a chance to play on that piano as part of the evening, and part of the activity. We can also teach youth a simple music segment. If we get that what we call master, we get that piano player to play something inspiring, and then show the people that we get them to come that night to play a couple keys, to get a little something understanding of what they're doing, and then play some inspiring pieces again. Create that, how do I do that moment? Maybe we can get a beginner lesson going out of this so that we get kids in Encinitas involved. Maybe it's an adult. Getting them involved in that beginning lesson so that maybe they go to higher levels. And maybe that higher level isn't a class at the Recreation Center, it's a starting point, and they go on. It's my role. The city expects me to take a wide view of facilities, programs, and services offered to the benefit of Encinitas community. And that's what I believe I'm doing here. I'm open to communication. I'm approachable. I want to be engaged. So I don't mean this to be a negative thing. I really don't. I only have so much, and I need to serve as much as the community as I can. And that's how we got to this point. So that's my take.
And I just want to add that there are limited resources. There's only so much included in the budget to cover what needs to go really, really far. And one of the, I think back to when this item first went on the work plan, and if I recall correctly, Commissioner Marakovitz at the time brought up an idea of, loving this grand instrument and how great it would be if it could be played more often. And what if we opened up sessions where there was someone who is the caretaker to make sure the piano was cared for, to answer questions about it, but it opened up these slots. And when I shared that at the time I had absolutely no extra staff time that could go towards that, and the offer was, well, we find volunteers to do that. So as you think about this, think about your own engagement, the possibility of volunteer engagement, and how these kinds of programs can get supplemented because we only have so much budget for, staff time. And again, it has to go really far across all of the events that we do, as well as the part-time staff that we have that we use at Pacific View. There's just not, it can only spread so thin.
I'm going to hop in here. I know it's not desired that we do this in the middle of a discussion of an item, but I do want to make a motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes, because if not, we're going to run into 7 o'clock here.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Let the record show that the motion passes to extend the meeting by 30 minutes to 7:30.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks for your I guess it looks like it was scripted. I mean, you wrote it down. I have like some things that I wrote down too. I appreciate that. There's a lot of things, and I don't want to talk all night and be respectful of everyone's time. But we can philosophize, I can't say that word very well, about how wonderful it is. And, people could provide testimonials all day long about the importance of that. I'm not going to go there. I'll do it all day long. But I asked to bring forward the expenditures because at the last meeting I did not attend, but I watched the full meeting. The number of things that you mentioned, you said in order. You said it was not a budget item. No Encinitas applied. 35% of Encinitas residents came to the second concert. The $12,000 mention. It was not going to be replaced, but money was going to go toward other things. Last year's disgruntled parent. And then as I was listening, I heard going in different directions about thinking about having, and the parent that you mentioned about, just really briefly, you said that it was a parent maybe who didn't plan the evening well or whatever it might be, but and a lot of us have been there with, young kids and stuff, and we understand how that goes. And I'm glad that parent came with the kids. It's too bad that there was somebody who was not happy, because everybody seemed to be happy otherwise. And then on that note, I mean, I had a number of friends who came to that last year's concert, and actually one patron who came totally surprised me, and it was you talked to him. This was my former student from back when I first moved to California 30 years ago, and he's now a dad, and he's in his 40s, and he, back then. I wish that as a piano teacher, and for his sake, that I wish that we had a piano competition. He was like one of my star students. He started when he was 12 years old, and in 4 years after playing, he went from rank beginner to playing like Bach partitas and preludes and fugues and everything. And I moved him on to Peter Gach and Palomar. I felt like I taught him all I could. Well, anyway, he was there at the concert, and he brought his young child, and I just think it's unfortunate that somebody was like you called it a vocal fit, when my My friend was there with his child, and there was no vocal fit there. You know, they were really, really happy, and there were a lot of people that were happy. There's a lot of people, a lot of students who are engaged actually in piano in this city. I was talking with a piano teacher the other day. She said that they're full, but the city, she mentioned to me some of her frustrations that these excellent pianos that we have, she felt there were a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of expenses, and a lot of like procedures and everything, and it just made it very difficult for accessibility for these great instruments. So these piano teachers have to go, you know, Escondido or Carlsbad or something like that. So we have to make these pianos more accessible. I'm glad that you mentioned about the letter that was proposed last year. I was wondering what happened to that mentorship, and I have some people who are interested in doing that. You know, you bring in a lot of artists from all over, like the Concert by the Sea. Are they Encinitas residents? I don't think so. There's a lot of people who are from everywhere. And artist calls for visual art, sculptures, they're not necessarily from Encinitas, so I feel like that's a double standard. And you have to give this area a chance. 2 years is not enough. This area has not seen or experienced something like this. And when the students came to the concert and to the competition, they bedazzled us. Nobody told them, oh, you have to do this, you do. They came, they were completely professional. And they blew the expectations out of the water and blew the roof off of it. And so the students, the youth, are the ones who set the standard already for us. And I think that the commission, it's safe to say the Commission for the Arts promotes the arts. We don't cancel the arts. This would be terrible to cancel something that was successful. And that brings me to ask, how do you evaluate, what's the criteria for evaluating success of the arts? Just asking. You mentioned about the no Encinitan thing, and I also learned something from other teachers too. They said that there's other competing things that are going on. Some teachers are involved in the Music Teachers Association of California Certificate of Merit. So they're involved in those things. So it might be timing. So there's a lot of different things to consider. We already have the people out here. And one teacher said that she might not have people now, but she has her eyes on some kids coming up. And if we have something in this area to shoot for, where the standards are already high, this is great. You also mentioned about, you know, the dad with the young children, and like I used to teach young children. Typically, a piano teacher has a wide range of clientele. We have the young children, the babies, the toddlers, the young, and that's fun. I love crawling on the floor, you know, playing with that. It's called exposure. Then we have a big pool of school agers, and you have kids who are like, they're not very serious, but then you have kids that are like serious, and then you might have adults and you have senior citizens. It's a great job. You get to see everybody. And you, as a piano teacher, one beautiful thing is that you could start out with this young child and then watch them grow and aspire for something like this that is right here in Encinitas. And I just think that 2 years is not enough. And speaking as a music educator, I teach elementary music education. Piano is my major instrument, but I dabble a whole bunch of other things. You had mentioned about, you know, touching the piano and seeing how it works. I think a piano like that, you should be playing, and I brought my scores here. This was from last year. I highlighted it for my role as a juror. I did my homework, and that I studied the scores. with highlight pens and everything. There is room to have something that's really stellar in our town. And Encinitas is part of the greater community. We're not the center of the earth. We connect the north and we connect the south. And people come here. And those 35%, well, that's wonderful that they came, but 2/3, well, they probably had to go out to eat somewhere, patron our restaurants. You mentioned about like a general music approach. Well, like I said, I do that every day. I love it. It's a lot of fun. But there's a place for that. You can do that at the PVAC. You can have early childhood music programs for 3- and 5-year-olds for exposure. You can have general music where they can bang on drums and things like that. Believe me, I bang on drums every day. But one exception is that banging is very discouraged. We make music in my classes. I just wanted to, I think that, to bring down some of those costs and stuff like that, and I know that there's that piece, but there's a part that you could probably whittle it down. Volunteer, like you mentioned, volunteership. If there's a way to have some kind of fundraising or some kind of donation or sponsorship for the hard costs. And as for the staff costs, find ways to, I guess, to compress that a little bit. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how to do your job because I don't know how you do your job or anything like that. I don't know what it's like, and you don't know what it's like for me either. But I think there's some things that can be analyzed, and with any project needs to have a plan. And I wondered if there was a plan. The piano competition has basically 3 parts to it. The beginning, the launching, the waiting period, where you just kind of, okay, I wonder what's going to happen. And then it comes into action with the competition and the rehearsals and the concert. So I don't know how that could be figured, where it could be like a little bit compressed to make it happen. I don't think that this program is that time intensive. Again, I don't know the inner workings totally on your side, but compared to something like Art Night seems huge to me. That sounds huge to put that on, but this is a little bit more spread out, and you have some breathing space for several months. Okay, so I spoke enough. I just would love to hear from the other commissioners too.
Yeah, I wanted to overwhelmingly support this program. I feel with removing this, you are throwing the baby with the bathwater. And for any trend to be noticed, you need 3 points. It's been 2 years. And I think it's extremely premature and very short-sighted to cancel a program which has had overwhelming success, only for the point that there were not that much of an influence specifically within the community, but the commission, the arts here in Encinitas also has the big agenda for arts education. And something like this is fostering music education. We also, I believe, when I read the role for the commission here also is to serve underprivileged communities, and we are providing that also. We are exposing all kinds of communities to music through this program. So I think canceling this program is not only premature, but is almost opposite to what we're doing here. So that's what I would like to say.
If we're kind of going down the line here, actually the same phrase that you used, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, occurred to me too, because it seems as though here's a program that is in some ways a definition of what the commission is here for, to come up with ideas that work for engaging the community in the arts. And and again, it's been 2 years, so it's still kind of finding its footing. But I think that if the main concern is having more participants from Encinitas, then maybe there's a way to address that specifically. Maybe it needs to be marketed a little better, or maybe the requirements could be adjusted so that it encourages or in some ways guarantees that there will be more participation from people from Encinitas. It seems as though maybe it's worth trying some ideas before getting rid of the whole thing. It seemed as though there's a little bit of a mixed message, because I think we heard that this is not about the money, but then also this is a stretch of resources. So I'm kind of unclear on which that is. But I really feel as though maybe there needs to be more exploration of alternatives to, make this, to address those concerns, rather than making, kind of go to the extreme end and just cancel the whole thing. So that's my piece.
In looking at the breakdown of the hard costs and the staff time, I'm just wondering if there was a possibility of continuing the program with volunteer time and donation of hard costs.
I mean, tonight you guys are going to vote to make a recommendation. As part of that recommendation, I mean, you're talking about volunteers. This is an arts group. Are we also, okay, if that's going to be the recommendation, I would expect the recommendation would also be that you would serve as volunteers at the next event. I mean, that's the support the community needs to do for any of the events like this. Like I said, I think it's a great event, and I also stick by it. It's not so much a funding thing. It's a resources to where they go, and to me, the disappointment is no Encinitas involvement here and trying to drive that. And for me, having the piano available for people to play on different days and getting that starting opportunity is a place where I can take those resources. But like I said, that's my response. You guys are welcome to recommend what you want to recommend. Support 100%.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I think that one thing that just comes to my mind is that what probably was needed was more direct marketing and promotion to Encinitas, piano players in general, who, like Jennifer described, students and different piano instruction in town. Maybe that didn't happen to the full extent that it could, but I think that would only work if there was someone, willing to do that on the ground promotion and engagement with the community in order to increase Encinitas participation. So it sounds like the program could continue if there was enough volunteer support.
Can I ask a question? And my understanding is, Jennifer, you were involved in the marketing to piano players in this community. Did you feel that there was reach out in the community, or are you telling us that we didn't reach out? You also talked about the fact that piano instructors have told you that there was another path that they were taking. I'm just asking for clarification.
Okay, so the first part is advertisement? Advertisement?
Yeah, I mean, in Encinitas, do you think there did piano instructors, did we not have connection with them or possible players? I'm asking to help with education here.
I think it would behoove to get in connection with the local chapters of the Music Teachers Association and MTNA and things like that. Well, personally, what I try to do is volunteering. I tried to connect with them. There was a couple people, a little bit, regionally, and they shot out the information for me. I said, hey, there's a great event. Can you share it with your members? They did that. But I think we need to get even closer to our, in our radius here in Encinitas, and we need to get to know the piano teachers in our area. A lot of people, since this is an area of means, which has been said before, you know, a lot of parents do have their kids and, you know, everything, right? You got to have your music, you got to have your art and your sports, you know. Music is high. People want it. Piano is a lot of people have their kids in piano. So I think it'd be a great idea to draw those people out and make the piano more accessible to them, these great instruments. Otherwise, they're going to have to go out, you know, inland.
Did you feel that in the previous 2 years that there was enough direct Encinitas connections made or promotion done, either through volunteer efforts or otherwise?
It could have been done better. I feel I could have done better.
Okay.
But getting to know, it's like, where are they? You got to find them. Got to find them, get their names, and bring them together. I think bring them together to the events so that they know about things that are going on here.
Okay, thank you. That helped to clarify.
Vicki, do you want to say anything?
Well, it sounds like this is a funding issue, and listening to Jennifer, her passion speaks volumes, and the fact that she's here on her anniversary to talk about this makes me, you know, want to support this. Although I'm one of the few people in the world that doesn't respond to pianos, so I'm like not a piano person. So to me, having the funding go into piano takes it away from something else. So I will probably abstain on this discussion, but I was very impressed with your talk.
I'll give you some piano lessons. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, I love piano. This is the best event I've been to in the city. Do I want to see this continue as a program? Yes. Do I want to find solutions that will make this program stay like a strong part and have the chance to grow in this community? Yes. Do I think that we're hearing from the director that the city might not want to fund that? Yes. Do I hear that there's not enough staff time and all of that? Yes. Do I think it's appropriate that in order to make a recommendation, commissioners should commit to volunteering their time to an actual event? No. We're here committing our time right now. And I just, you know, I feel like the best way to be a leader, and we are a leader as a whole commission, is to find solutions. And I think, you know, again, this is such a valuable program. You've put so much effort into it. And we do live in an affluent community. We just received a donation from EFA, who was willing to fundraise not only to buy a sculpture, but potentially to support a program moving forward. I'm leaning more toward why beat up against a council. I don't know how the council would fall, but I can guess. And it's, you know, it is Dave's department here, which doesn't say that we shouldn't speak up and make recommendations against decisions, not at all. But I do respect the fact that he does have to make choices about things that greatly benefit as many people as possible. And so I lean more towards saying, you know, how can we find outside funding for this program? The EFA is here. They've donated the piano. It's such an important thing to use it. It's not, you know, the letter that you read, Dave, was for another item to find low-cost programming for the Steinway. I think the mentoring program, all of these ideas are great ideas. And so those things and Dave's saying he wants to find those programs. It's a little bit of a shame because so much work is, you know, any new program to go from idea stage to implementation stage takes time and effort and money, all those things. But I personally would be committed to help finding solutions. You know, the Encinitas project is another non-for-profit that has said that they will fundraise for non-funded initiatives that I would say more like, if outside funding was found, would the city help pave the way, to help, make the Steinway available, to help promote, to help ease the path to using the room and all of those sorts of things? I would guess yes, but I would want that commitment. But I will be voting no tonight.
And are we just voting on continuation of the program?
We haven't actually made a motion that I think that motion would come. Jennifer has included a letter as part of a commissioner-initiated item, which is not where we're at in the agenda, although I wonder if we can just pop in and make a motion to vote on sending that letter. Which, again, I find myself agreeing with all of you. And so I just wanted to give my 2 cents why I don't feel it's the best way forward to send a letter like that. I'd rather find other ways to say, okay, if the city doesn't want to support it, let's support it and make it happen.
Yeah,
So
actually, I just want to say that I've done some thinking over the past 24 hours and was thinking maybe of retracting it for right now because of the way things are, but I think it needs some more time to think about it and solution-based, like you said, and come up with more. I was thinking some things could be a little bit more clear, particularly in the last paragraph. So I was thinking of retracting it, maybe putting it on the table for now, and seeing if we can, if instead of going to the tippy top, the council, if commission can work with staff as a better, compromise, work together to come up with some better ideas about piano usage and this area. I would hate to see it just totally thrown in the garbage or recycling bin. I would love to see about maybe brainstorming some ideas and giving it some time.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that this particular item was just to review the financials. So we're not actually voting on.
There's no motion on the floor.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Dave, did I see a hand?
Just to be simple, simply, Jennifer, I appreciate the passion, and like I said at the end of my little write-up, conversations are ongoing. I don't mean just for this, but for things that are valued in the community, nothing has to end with a thump of a hand. So, yeah, the conversation can continue on this. It doesn't have to be the last time it's talked about.
Yeah, I think that would, as long as we can have a continual conversation about it, and have time to think about things, and in the future, if it comes together again, then it would be better.
Okay. I just want to say I really value the ability to do this here, right? I think it's so cool that we can have these conversations, think about the same thing from many different aspects, and share them publicly, and hopefully get to a place where things get better, sort of thing. So I appreciate all of that. All right. So that concludes that item. That concludes that, and we will move on to number 9, which is informational items.
Hello. One of the things that I wanted to share is, well, first I'll talk about Pacific View before I talk about this, which is that we now have evening hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So those programs have just started, and we're ramping up, looking to make sure that those programs are getting promoted and doing an evaluation. That'll be technically part of second-year evaluation, but we're constantly collecting information from program participants as well as just the public in general, so that we've always got that information coming in. But so far, it's very positive. People are enjoying the later classes, because that serves both after school and adults who work a traditional work day. The fire station is coming along. It seems to be on schedule. And we have new classes that we are working on right now that will start in the new year. So the activity guide is quarterly, and we're working on the next one. Then, as far as the other side of cultural arts operations, I am really excited to announce we have a new exhibition space. Oops. There you go. This is the periodicals room at the Encinitas Library. And this exhibition of the Doryman has been up for years. Deanna believes this has been up since the library opened. These are on loan from the Encinitas Historical Society. They will go back to the Encinitas Historical Society, and this will become part of the regular rotation, starting with this. We started installing new exhibitions today, and it will continue through next Tuesday, where we will put artwork up in here. So that's kind of exciting. Also related to exhibitions, we just concluded the 2026 call for artists and received 89 proposals, and the ad hoc for that will be reached out to very soon to review all of those. We have 2 guest jurors, Jonathan Foreman, who is the Dean of Arts at Miracosta College, and Seatley Mejia, who is an arts administrator, spent a very long time with Oceanside Museum of Art and is still very connected to the North County arts world. And also our student art committee is going to have an opportunity to review it as part of their learning process. So they're going to get to learn about what that jurying process is and how to do it. We already covered that the sculpture loan program is getting moved forward, and we are on September 10th, the MOU for San Diego Music Society to continue another year of Music by the Sea with us in 2026 is going to council, and they are looking forward to planning another successful season. Just by comparison, that program, which has a fixed cost of $15,000, generated a little over $17,000 in revenue, and the staff time for that, it is an established program, but it is very nominal in comparison to some of the other programs. And that is all for that part of the report. And then as far as 9B, Wednesdays at noon continues to just knock it out of the park every week. The public is really enjoying that. The artists are sharing with us that the donations kind of blow their minds. We fill the room pretty quickly. I can't stress enough, if you're interested in seeing that concert, please show up at 11:30 when the doors open, because it is first come until the room is full, and we have a hard stop at 1:70. And coming up, it's in early October, so I want to make sure we get this in there. The next art night is October 2nd, and this is on the commission calendar, so I really encourage you to jump in, volunteer, help out. It makes it such a much richer experience, and we hope to have you. That is all.
I don't know if this is an informational item, a question or not, so just tell me if this is not a cool thing. Are there busking permits allowed in the city for special nights? And if so, can they be garnered for art night?
That is a question I don't have all the information to answer you properly, but I can connect you to Julie Gilliam, who would be better able to answer that question.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay. So we would move on to Commissioner. That's awesome about the new space too. That's really exciting and very cool. Also, I feel like just to draw people further into the library as well. It's just like really enlivening of that whole building and very cool. Commission member initiated agenda item. I think that's been taken off of the table for now, and that would lead us to any future agenda items. None. And commissioner reports. Does anyone have anything to add? Jennifer.
Yeah, Vicky's right. It's our, it's not musical, but actually I played at my own wedding. Instead of paying someone, I played myself. It's our 30th anniversary. And also it's special because we moved here 2 months after we got married. So, and this is a place, my husband knew somebody who lived here. He went to visit him. He came back and he said, we're going to move to this place. And I was like, wait, Encinitas or I couldn't say it. So we've been here in this city for 30 years. And it's been great. On the musical side, I attended a world drumming. So really switching gears from piano land to drumming land. I went to Valencia to the Remo factory, and I got a levels certification in world drumming.
Just so artistic. So musical.
Anybody else want to share? No. Okay, so just as a reminder, I will be sending out an email template, obviously tweak as you see fit, and then to invite people to the October meeting, and just look out for that. And I thank everyone again. Okay, so we will adjourn at 7:24.
No, did I forget something? Not that I know of, but thank you. I'll save it for next time.